Well, hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my overview of Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered. So if you're not across it, I do overviews on this channel. I have a look at the first 2 hours of a game. It's a Steam refund window. Steam reckons you can make up your mind about whether you want to keep a game or not in that time. I agree. I think 20 hours in, you're probably not going to change your mind about how you felt 2 hours in. Short, punchy video, broad strokes info, keep it around 10 minutes. Okay, so in a way, this needs no introduction. This is the talk of the town. It's kind of stolen a chunk of Claire Obscure's thunder, which, if you don't know anything about that, check out the other video I did. But there's another excellent game. If for some reason you're set against Oblivion, maybe you're too young and you're not riddled with nostalgia when it comes to this, don't sleep on Claire Obscure, because yeah, 2 of the best games of the year have released side by side. But yeah, Oblivion, I'm old enough, I'm of that time period. I have a very soft spot in my heart. I don't actually usually do a lot of nostalgia because, to be honest, I'm fairly pragmatic in the way I look at games and play games, and a lot of the times, if you're honest with yourself, when you go back to an old game and play it again in current year, when you're spoilt with all the cool upgrades and fandanglies and bits and bobs and what have you, often you're better off of leaving it as a memory of something that you loved than trying to recapture it as an old burnt out man. So I can be a bit funny about going back to games for nostalgia's sake. And look, and then inversely, there's a remake culture and remake, remaster, there are all these different terms thrown around and they ride the gamut. I think it's probably commonly agreed that up until now, at least, the best remaster, remake, whatever you want to call it, that's come out was Resident Evil 2. And while people were disappointed with the 3 to a point, it still followed the same formula, this reimagining and updating and trying something new that kept it fresh. Anyway, the reason I mention all of this lead-in is because it's a minefield going into this sort of space. And I would argue that the Oblivion remaster might well be the best remaster of all. So the beating heart of the Oblivion remaster is the fact that they have retained all the janky charm of yesteryear. It still feels like Oblivion and to an extent a Bethesda game, right? It's messy, it's janky. I've already had all these bugs, but again, that was part of the experience. So they haven't tried to pull the rug over you. They haven't tried to cover up any of the old messiness that is hand in hand with the charm and nostalgia and what you remember. But yet, it's running on Unreal Engine 5 and it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. They did have a release stream because this was the industry's worst kept secret. And on that, they were talking about the studio that was building this whole thing. They essentially have layered 2 engines. The only comparison I can think of as a lay gamer is sort of how they did the Master Chief Collection in a way, right? Sort of close similarity. You can press the button to switch back and forth and they've got the 2 different versions of the game running over each other. Well, in this case, the way that they pitch it is that they still sort of have the original engine running as the brain of the operations under the hood. And on top of it, they have the new Unreal 5 pretty engine being more like the body, I suppose. And so, yeah, there is a bit of a bizarre, almost uncanny valley aspect to it that, NPCs are still wandering around the street, talking to each other in the weirdest, most janky dialogue. The facial animations and all that, they still have the same old weird feel, it's great, it's excellent, but they've updated all the stuff that really would need updating. So yeah, the graphics are an obvious thing. Combat's had a little bit of a touch up, but same thing, it's still the sort of same game running under the hood, so it doesn't feel terribly different, but you've got more sort of animations and impact, and it feels like there's a little bit more force feedback in the combat now. But even like the voice lines, because they still did, even for a AAA company, it was still years and years ago, they still had limitations on how many in-house voice actors they had doing all the different characters. It wasn't uncommon for dudes to bloody talk to each other with the same actor. So you've still got original voice lines, you got Patrick Stewart and bloody Sean Bean all in there still, but they've gone and brought other people in to flesh it out, right? So stop, you've violated the law. You're going to get that, but you're going to get it from a different couple of versions of different different foot troopers or blades or whatever they're called, bloody, you know, Imperial Guardsmen. But yeah, so for me, someone who is admittedly very picky and, dare I say, a bit jaded when it comes to remakes, remake culture, you know, things like The Last of Us aren't doing a favor for anyone in the industry by just pumping out the same game with a slight fidelity touch-up every couple of years. Like, that gives me the shits to no end. But this is it. This has captured me. So maybe if you are a little bit fuddy-duddy, you do have fond memories of Oblivion, but you're a bit standoffish to go back to it, because it probably isn't going to hold up to what you remember it from, you know, Xbox 360 launch day when you were bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and checking out this newfangled RPG game. But yeah, this is for you. This is for me. This is for all the fans that grew up playing Oblivion. Apparently, all the DLC is in there, which is great, because I thought the whole, what was his name? The Daedric Prince, the pain in the ass, was it Shia Gorath or something like that? Dude that if you hit him and he'd tut you and then he'd teleport you into the sky and you'd fall to your death. Yeah, nah, so that's all going to be in here. So I'm looking forward to that. The Knights of the Nine or whatever it was called, that was interesting. So yeah, look, it is on the edge of memory, and I'm excited because it has been so long that I don't really strictly remember Oblivion. Like, don't get me wrong, I made fond memories and I'm gonna get these flashes as I go along, but it's not like it's not like I've been watching the Aliens movies every year since they came out, you know? So I have distant memories, and I'm very excited. In a way, between the graphics and the touch-up and the whole RPG system has been overhauled as well. I think it's got a little bit more Skyrim in it, from what I'm told. But these are footnotes that I got given in the presser. Like, I don't really remember it well enough, other than you sort of do things, you know, you punch things, your hand-to-hand comes up, and I'm playing like a barbarian, so I'm enjoying my cool fur armor, and I'm walking around dungeons with one torch in one hand and just punching people in the nose with the other, and that seems to be a lot of fun. I'm getting a kick out of that. But yeah, even the dungeoning and the cruising around the world, like I was heading towards the quest marker after you break out of the prison, and some prick shook me down and said, my poor sob story, I need scales from these fish because blah 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 blah, and I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll help you out. So I ended up swimming around like a dickhead punching fish to death for a little bit, and then I got sick of that because it was a pain in the ass. Could barely hold my breath underwater, and oh my god, that was nightmarish. So I just kept going along, and I found a random fort and went in there, and there's some goblins, and I punched their heads in as well, and it feels back to basics with a modern coat of paint, and there's no wonder this is going to explode. Everyone on my friends list seems to be playing it, and I'm not surprised why. It's going for high-end price, like $85 Australian. 90 is usually what we would call AAA, though. They're trying to move the needle these days, you know, quadruple A, all this bullshit. So it's pretty much AAA priced. For me, it's definitely worth it, right? But again, if you don't have that nostalgia kick, if you're a younger bloke that's maybe got his fill on Skyrim and is holding out for Elder Scrolls 6, like, I don't know if I'd recommend it, especially with things like Clair Obscur out there at the moment as well. But having said that, I feel like, and this could just be because of my nostalgia goggles on, I feel this is as good as a new Elder Scrolls game if you never played Oblivion in the first place. And look, I speculated about this in another video. I was wondering how the market was going to receive it, because I think it could have gone either way. I still stand by that because of the way things went with Fallout 76 and Starfield. Geez, I was going to call it Star Citizen. But yeah, I think a lot of the goodwill of Bethesda just churning out the same janky mess has been diminished. But I feel like they threaded the needle. The Swiss cheese holes aligned. They stuck the landing. I think a big part of it, honestly, is because it's very clear a lot of love went into this. The shadow dropping is nostalgic in a way. It's not something you see so much, but there's nostalgia behind it. And I think when I come out the tunnel and my dude seems to permanently have an electricity effect on him while I'm trying to remodel his head, it's like, fuck off, game, you broken mess. But at the same time, like I said, it's with a grin on your face. It's part of the celebration of nostalgia of yesteryear. I hope Bethesda doesn't take it the wrong way, because they will not get this pass on Elder Scrolls 6. That can't be Bethesda jank, I really think. I could be totally wrong for sure, but from what I remember about Starfield and all that, people were really just fed up. right? And it was like, it's about time you got your shit together, Bethesda. This has been fun and nostalgic, and it was part of the game's history, but you can't keep turning out messy games. I mean, Jesus, we all remember the 76 launch. So yeah, I think that's why they get away with it, because we're all celebrating the legacy of Oblivion. I could be totally wrong, but yeah, if Elder Scrolls 6 has Bethesda jank in it, I think they'll be in deep shit. But anyway, that's just speculation aside. Oblivion Remastered, it's excellent. They managed to do the impossible, and that should absolutely be celebrated. And I think it's on Game Pass as well, so even if you don't have the throw around money, you can pick it up there. But yeah, get behind the hype and play it all weekend like I'm probably going to. Anyway, team, I might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.